Alright. The live stream is... Wait, I'm refreshing. Okay, yeah, the live stream's up, so if you want to look at it, you can. Alright, so... Unity? No, no, I'm streaming Java. No. Wait, okay, sorry. I turned you down a lot because you're being really loud. No, they cannot hear any of you guys. They can only hear me. Alright. Caleb, if it's up if you want to watch it. Hello? Well, I'm more so talking to Caleb because he said you want to watch. Hey, alright. Hello. So this is my game for the game jam. This looks like crap right now. It's gonna look way better. This is just placeholder. So this is a game jam. The programming language for this is Java, and I'm creating this by myself from scratch. It's gonna have pixel art style, and the theme for the game jam is combat. So I'm gonna be having like waves of zombies coming in, but you can like mine trees and mine stone and like make defenses and like walls and whatnot to go defend yourself. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. So yeah, so this live stream is gonna be a little bit more details. Gonna be talking about it and like how code works. So this is like the main class. The game class is the main. By the way, if you have any questions, just put it into the chat and I will answer them. So this is the main class, the game, and this contains pretty much all the information. This is what makes everything kind of run. If this wasn't here, then nothing would run. Now there are other classes that actually make like the shapes load. For instance, the handler controls whether game objects will be added, whether they'll be removed, and it also controls the tick method, which is like things that happen in every couple of in a given time, and things that happen, and the render method, which actually it's essentially what renders everything. So all of the shapes, colors, texts, you name it, it renders it. And this is also a 2D game, and it's going to be top down. This is the player. It's currently not much, but this is what makes it move. The X plus the velocity of X, and in the way it knows when to move is with a key input. So this is the key input class, and this is where it knows what velocity it needs to move at. So if I'm moving up, it needs to move at -5. If it's moving to left, it needs to move at -5. So this is where it controls all the velocity. This is also how it detects key input or keystrokes. So yeah, yeah, and as you can see, there are two different functions or methods. It depends on which programming language you're using. Yeah, but they're the same thing. Essentially, they contain they contain code inside of it. And this one is key release. So what does the player do after the key is released, and what does this do when it's pressed? Now there are things called classes. Actually, there are three different things. So there are classes, enums, enums, and interfaces. As you can see there, right here, classes, interfaces, and enums. I will not be really using interfaces too much, and I actually don't know a whole lot about interfaces altogether. But classes are the thing you're going to be most likely using the most. So these contain your generic things, or the mostly things you're going to use, like key input, the players, all that stuff. And enums are mainly for storing like IDs, states, and information in classes can also store information, but this will like specifically state like I'm using enums for storing IDs and states. As you can see right here, where is it? Right here. Here are the two states I currently have. So this is going to be a more in-depth talk about the live stream or of the game, and because I want to talk about it. So yeah, so I'm going to go create a way for the terrain generator, which I've already started on. For it to render grass tiles throughout the entire window, so the player can see it. So, if statements, I'm going to wrap this in an if statement because we don't want the terrain generator running when it's on the main menu, because then there'd be grass tiles all over the main menu and that would just look weird. So, what we're going to do is we're going to have to do an if statement. So, the way if statements work is you write if, so essentially it works if this, then do this, or then do that. So, that's essentially how it works. So, the way we're going to do this is, since I made it in the game state or in the game class, it decides what the state is, and I named it game state. So if I go to terrain generator, if I do game.gameState, now the reason why we're doing game.gameState is because we need to access a certain part of the class, like a specific line of code for the class, not just the class entirely. So if game.gameState equals state.game. Now it knows it's gonna be game because I said in the state that there's gonna be two states, main menu and game. Now if I go back over here, the reason why this is state is because it has to access the state from the state class, and we have to use two equal signs because it's a if method or if statement. Sorry. Now you have to do two curly brackets, and the inside, this is the then part. So this is like if this happens, then do this. So if the game state equals game, we're going to want to do a for loop, and I'm going to do int x equals 0. X is less than grass tile dot get width x++. Now the reason why we're doing a for loop is because we want it to be so where this will actually generate all of our tiles for us without having us to type in each and every single coordinate. And the way we're going to be doing this, so it's going to be starting off at x, which is 0. It's going to get the grass tile width, and then it's going to keep adding. And we're doing x because x is width on a 2D axis, or on a 2D plane. X is the width. So we're going to do the same thing for the y. So integer y equals 0. Y is less than grass tile dot get height y ++. Alright, so now that we have our two for loops, this will fill up the entire screen with grass tiles. But in order to do that, though, what we're going to want to do is we're going to actually tell it what to render, because currently it's going to render nothing. Because if I press play, it's just going to render this, and it's just going to look like crap, like it does right now. So, close this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do G, draw image. Now the reason why I did G was because this is the shortened version of graphics. So essentially what I'm saying is graphics.draw image, which actually makes sense. So I'm going to do the grass tile. I'm going to do the x times 32. Now the reason why I'm doing times 32 is because the image I'm using is 32 by 32 pixels. So I'm going to be doing the same for the y. So it's 32 on the x and 32 on the y. And then I'm going to do null. Because null is essentially makes this equal to nothing. Essentially, that's basically what it means. And if I press play, it will render grass tiles. And I can also move my player around it, and it's not going to glitch out. And as you can see right here in the console, it's going to be displaying my frames per second because in the game, which is where it mainly controls everything, I told it to do so. I can change around the numbers and I will get different results like this. But it will look weird unless it's going to look weird if it's not the like dimensions of the image. So, yeah. As you can see here. Now, we made it render in here, but the reason why it's actually even rendering, because we can tell it to render, okay? But if we don't have this line of code right here, it will not render, because essentially you can tell it to render in the class, but if it doesn't also go through the game, which is the main class, it won't render anything. So because if I were to comment this out and I press play, as you can see, it's going to be normal, but although it's already rendered in there. So for this, you're going to have to make it render through here. So yeah, there's that. And then the tick method, it's the same exact thing for the render, except it's applied for the tick method. So yeah, that's it for the terrain, really. I'm going to be adding water later on, but that's not the biggest concern right now. So yeah, so I'm going to try to get the HUD working, because this is going to be a 2-player thing, because if you go to the ID, you can see a player 1 and player 2. So actually it's going to be, you're going to have the option to choose. So what I'm going to do this is I'm going to go to key input, because we're going to want to be able to detect for different players. So I'm just going to copy this line of code right here and just paste it down here, because what's the whole point of typing out if we only have to change a couple things. So all we actually have to do is just change the ID. Now these are called comments. Now essentially what comments do is it doesn't get read by a compiler, and you can write yourself notes. So I can do // hello, and it won't get read by a compiler, which essentially means it won't get any errors. Now say for instance you want to do comments on numerous lines. What you do is you would do / and then asterisk, and then you would have to do another asterisk right here, and then anything inside of these two slashes and asterisks will be fine. So if I could type hello, hi, hola, I don't think that's how you spell it, but whatever. So yeah, those are comments. Now it's gonna be weird if we have both of the players taking in the same input, because then that means they're all going to move in the same direction all at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the keys. So VK stands for virtual key, or I think that's what it stands for. I'm like 99% sure for that. If I do VK underscore, it will come up with every single button that I can use, like every single key. So what I want to do is I want to do the arrow up key. So I would do VK up, because that means it's the up arrow key. I'd do VK, whoops, wait, okay, so VK down. I would do VK right, and I would do VK left, because those are arrow keys. And I'm essentially just copying the same thing up here, except I'm just changing the different keys, but the directions and stuff apply. So now I just have to, whoops. So all we need to do really is just copy this again. Oh, actually, wait a minute, hold up. I just realized, actually, we don't need to do that. Actually, all we need to do is just copy the if statement. Change the ID. Whoops, my bad. sorry, I'm really tired right now. I don't know. Actually, I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm just go up. By the way, feel free to ask questions in the chat, and to also copy the code. I don't really care. You probably won't even be able to use this code because you don't have access to all of it. When I submit the game, there will be a downloadable file for the game and the source code, and I will also put the source code on GitHub. The code editor I'm also using is Java Eclipse Oxygen, so if you want to download that, the link to it is in the description. So, yeah. So, I'm just going to go fill in the rest of these. So, left. So, I'm going to do up, down, right, and left. Now that I have the key inputs for player 2, we actually need to create a player 2, because currently we only, have player 1. So I'm just going to go create a class, name it player 2. Now I'm going to go extend it from the game object class. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because if I open up the game object class, this will have all of the methods or functions, if you want to call it, for any game object that I will need for this. So it has a render method, it has a collision method, it has a tick method, and it will also get it also protects the IDs. It will protect the floats and velocities and positions and all that kind of stuff. And here are other methods that will return the values of the floats up here and the IDs. So yeah, that may not make any sense, but just realize though that this is what contains all the things that I use, or that will be used for all the game objects in the game. And you may notice it's abstract, and that is because it's abstract essentially because you can't write any lines of code in it, or you can't actually use it like a class. You can't use it as a normal class, for instance. So yeah, I can't write public void hello. I can't write that because it's, oh wait, I can't, my bad, sorry, I'm tired. But just know you can't treat this like an actual class because it's abstract, and think of it as a template almost, or a template I should say. So just think of it like that. I know I'm not the best at explaining this, so I apologize for that. Now, since I already have player 1 done, I'm just going to copy and paste the code, because really, what's the point of, having to write all of it out? I just need to change the number right there. Alright, now you may have noticed in most of my classes that I have the handler. That is because the handler kind of contains everything, and that's what makes everything render. Because if I didn't have the handler in the constructor, then it wouldn't read this. So if I were to put the render in here, it wouldn't and even if I were to go into game class and write it out, it wouldn't really read it. So that's why I have to go put the handler here. And there's a shortened version of handler because you have to make it, you have to add another name for it essentially. Just think of it as a nickname almost. Think of it like that. So yeah, so now that we have a player 2, we need to go into the game class, and right here in the constructor, right here in the constructor, what we need to do is down here in the if statement, which says if this game state equals game, we need to write handler dot add object, and then I'm going to do new player 2. I'm going to do a 400. The ID is player 2. And if I just go import the class and I press the start button, It'll come in. Now I'm gonna go press the W key. That just moves player 1. So this is player 1. And if I press the arrow key for player 2, this is player 2. Yeah, and I can also move these at the same exact time. It's kind of weird though, but yeah. Oh, I can actually turn this into something else. I just realized. Oh, so yeah, I actually might change this from my original idea. Now I'm thinking about it. Anyways though, putting that aside, yeah, so that's how you add in 2 players, I guess. Yeah, so it's nothing really much, really. So, yeah. Moving on. So I'm gonna go work on the HUD because I actually need to get the health down because, I mean, I have the health working, but I need to get working, if that makes any sense. Like, fully working, I guess. Actually, need to remove this. So, if I do this... Remember, if you have any questions, just put it in the, chat, and I will answer it. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. Alright, so. Oh, by the way, so this is just like hard code, what actually doesn't make any sense. This is just programming without any engines, so that means you're doing everything completely from scratch. And when I say everything, I mean everything, like including the window. Like, you literally have to make the window. That's how scratch it is. I recommend if you're new to programming, use an engine like Unity or the Unreal Engine, or CryEngine, or any of those kind of engines. If I were you, I would start off with Unity because it is a really low learning, like has a really low learning curve, and you also learn to code right off the bat. And they also modified the C# language so where it's easier to learn code, so or easier to type code, I should say. So yeah, if I were you, I would start off with Unity if you're gonna do game development. But yeah, so now that we have both of our players down, what I need to do, actually what I should do next is for the HUD, so since this is gonna be player 1's health bar, I should actually probably put a little like text over it. Set color dots. We should do white, and then g.fill rect. So the reason why I'm doing g.fill rect is because rect stands for rectangle, and we want to fill the insides of the rectangle. Because I could do g.draw rect, but that means that it will only draw the outline of it. Now, hopefully you guys know what this means, but the x stands for the x value, so like the x value on a like 4 coordinates, y value 4 coordinates, and the width and the height. So for the x value, I'm just going to do something like 50 probably, just to start off with. And actually, I can run this in debug mode. I should probably do that. Essentially what debug mode does is you can edit things live. So say for instance, I wanted to go change to the position of something without having to open and close the program every single time. I can just run in debug mode and automatically change it. So for the y, I'm just going to be doing something like 650. Oh wait, why am I doing g.fill rect? G.draw text, or not draw text. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm I'm really tired. I can't think. Oh, draw string. Okay, there. So whenever you're drawing strings or writing anything that involves strings. Really, strings are essentially like that's how you go write things. So if I were to type in hello, oops, hello. So essentially you can use strings to write multiple characters, while with char, which stands for character, you can only write a single character. So I can only write a, and then that'd be it, or one, or u. Or with this I can write as much as I want, really. So yeah, but I'm going to do player 1 health, and I'm going to do this at 50. I'm going to bring this down to 650. It's not that big. Font equals, so for the fonts I'm going to do new font Arial 50. Actually, I don't really need the font right now, but and actually I should probably lower it a little bit. Okay, let's raise it a little bit. Let's see how that works. Actually, I should probably do this in debug mode. Okay, so if that will move, this won't be retarded. Okay, whatever. So, are you kidding me? That's great. Oh, okay, there. Alright, so if I open this up, trying to get it in a way so you guys can see. So I'm gonna go change this to like 700 just to show you how debug actually works. So now I'm moved down there, so you can edit stuff live. So yeah. So I'm just gonna go change this to 670 for instance. So yeah. Oh crap. Oh well. Okay. Whatever. Okay. I guess that launched. Whatever. So yeah, debug mode just essentially allows you to edit stuff live. So that shows player 1's health. Now I'm probably gonna adding a nicer font than that. That's just temporary. Let me go close this real quickly. Close clips. Bye. Alright. So I'm just gonna go copy this. Gonna go player 2. Player 2 health bar. Alright, so alright, so fill rect. I'm just gonna do 960. Um 960 960 and yeah, let's just see where that is right now. That's way too far, and I just realized that the maximum for the height is 768, so I'm stupid. I'll go drag this over to other monitor real quickly. Why is that right there? Oh, because I forgot to. Okay, so let me go run this debug mode. So let me go drag this over to my other monitor now, officially. Actually, let me edit the. Oops. Okay, so I'm gonna change this to 725. Okay, that looks somewhat centered. So this is what it looks like right now. As you can tell, the players can also go inside here. That's kind of bad. We want to change that. So we will add colliders to that. So when that gets hit, the player won't be able to go any further than that. Actually, we should probably do that now. So let me open this up. So let me go to the HUD. For the HUD, be doing int x. Oh yeah, because this is live, so new rectangle. Hmm. 700. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. For a second, I thought the. Wait a minute. I think I just messed this up. Oh, dang, it's getting late. Alright, well, I'm gonna say some basics. So essentially, we go down here, gonna add a whole bunch of lines. Me? I'm live streaming. Yeah. 2 people. Alright, so 2 people. I paid 20. Yeah, I know, it hurts, it hurts. Alright, so essentially, if statements, the way if statements work is, the way it works is if this, wait, actually, let me try to make this look cool. Okay, so if this, then do this. So that's how if statements work. So, hey, if this happens, then do this. For loops. So for loops, the way they work is so like for this and if this and this is less. You shut off. well, they can't hear you. I made it so they can't hear you, nerds. No. Okay. Oh wait, now I have 3 people. Okay, right, of course, right as it's ending. Anyway, so essentially the way for loops work is is uh for. So I'm just going to use int I. So for int I equals 0. Um um I'm just going to use I is less than something. I'm just going to do dot length as an example. So dot length, because you'd use dot length if it's an array. So like say for instance you want to do a integer as an array, you do, and say for instance integer's name is um uh k. Okay, we would do k dot length, and we would also need to make it an array, and then we'd want to do I plus plus, depending on the thing though. If you want it to go down, you'd want to do I minus minus. But for this, so we're going to do I plus plus, and then brackets, and then yeah, and then you go write whatever you want to happen inside for loops. So yeah, and is there anything else? I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, there's also while. So there's also whiles and or while line or while function. I don't know what you call them. While stuff. I'm too tired to think. It's like 12. So while, and essentially the way it works is while this is going on. So say for instance you want to use a boolean, which it determines pretty much true or false. By the way, it's so. Wait, are you talking to me? Oh, okay. Sorry. There's our people in Discord I'm talking to right now, viewers. So, while, and this can take in a lot of different things, but I'm just gonna use a boolean as an example. So, private boolean is true. I'm just gonna set this to true because they only read it as true or false. So, while is true. Then, under this, you don't want to do brackets. So, like, you would write do, you do this, do blah blah blah. So, and yeah, I'm sorry I did not explain this that well. Probably just lost like 20 subscribers, but whatever. So, yeah, that's what happens when it's 12 o'clock at night and I'm really tired. Hope you guys enjoyed the live stream, this horrible live stream. But, yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in another video or live stream. I don't know. Bye.